Hello to all the CA Foundation students. Exam is round the corner. I'm very sure now you must have completed your studying and started revision. Many a times it happens, students, that we know the concept, we know the theory, but at this level, we don't know what to write, how much to write, how to frame the answer. This is one query which most of the CA foundations have in law. Ma'am, we know the question, we have understood the question, we have understood the concept, but we don't know how to start the answer, what to write and how much to write. We don't know how to frame the answer. So here we are discussing the important case studies in these 15 minutes booster lectures. Now, I am very much aware that you don't have a lot of time to go through lengthy videos. So we will try to cover important, unique, different kind of questions in these videos. If you're watching my video for the first time, I am CA Preeti Agarwal and I make videos specially for you. Do subscribe to your channel Theory Masters Learning and hit the bell icon so that you get notifications for all the 15 minutes booster videos. Also, visit my website theorymasterslearning.com for CA books and CA lectures. Students, today I am going to discuss 3 questions from the Indian Contract Act 1872. I'll try to go unit wise and post as many videos as I can. We are going to take down handwritten notes which will be useful for last minute revision. I will show you how to frame the answer using the points given in the question itself. So are you ready for these 15 minutes booster lectures? Well, then let's get started. The first question that I have picked up is based on a case law. Now, many a times we go through the case law and keep wondering, do we need to memorize the case law? Will a question come to write the case law? No. Students, a question will never be asked wherein you are expected to write the entire case law. Yes, but the facts of the case can be converted into a question. So this is a question which is based on the case law. Now, I will prepare all these questions in a proper format and post it on my Telegram channel. The link is in the description box. Just click that link and you will find out the questions that we are discussing in this video. The image that you can see on the screen is from my CA compiler BOM for CA Foundation Law. It has all the past exam questions, study material, RTP and MTP questions arranged unit wise. You can place your order for that book on my website theorymasterslearning.com. The link is given in the description box. X, his brother, runs away from the house. Y, who is an employee of X, offers to search for the brother and goes out for this purpose. In the absence of Y, X offers a reward of 500 to whoever finds his brother and or gives clues enabling X to find him out. Y gets the brother back to X in ignorance of the reward for X. Can Y now claim the reward? Whenever you read the question, students, always highlight the parties involved. So in this case, X, his brother, has run away from the house. Y is the employee who has gone in search of the missing person. Okay. Later on, a reward is declared. Now, in this case, what concept will you apply to solve this question? First, find out the concept on which the question is based. Now, if the case law that comes into your mind is Lalman Shukla versus Gauridat, the question is based on this case law, then your answer is absolutely right. Half of the work is done because you only have to now frame your answer keeping this case law in mind. If this was the case law that popped up in your mind when you read the question, then give yourself a pat on your back. Very good, students. That is the correct way. It's the correct approach to frame the answer. Now, many a time students ask me, ma'am, if the question is based on a case law, do we need to explain the case in detail? No, it's not required. See, this is the length which the institute is expecting you to write. If it's a 4-mark question, then this kind of length is sufficient because it is in print. That is why you may feel that it is very short in length. But when you write this in your own handwriting, an answer of like 3/4 page is sufficient for a 4-mark question. Content should be appropriate. It should be perfect. Okay. Now, the question, you have to first identify what is the concept on which the question is based. When he went in search of the missing nephew, was he aware of the reward of 500? The reward was declared later, okay, after Y went in search of the missing person. Was Y aware of the offer? So when you're not aware of the offer, when you don't know about the offer, how can you accept it? So no offer, no acceptance, no contract. An acceptance in ignorance of the offer. I was not even aware of the offer. Then how can you accept it? So an acceptance in ignorance of the offer is not valid acceptance. So whenever a question is asked in the exam, try to recollect the concept on which the question is based. Think, prepare a draft, and then start writing. I know in the exam you don't have a lot of time, but if you practice these questions in the manner that we are discussing, I'm very sure you will be able to apply the concepts quickly. So over here, the person cannot accept the offer as he is unaware of its existence. You cannot accept the offer if you are not aware of the offer. Unless the offer is properly communicated, there is no acceptance. Now wait, students, I am also teaching you what are the points that you have to mention in the answer. So whenever you want to frame the answer, always decide upon the bullet points. So over here, what are the bullet points that we will form? The first point is that offer must be communicated. When you're ready with the bullet points, all you have to do is just convert those points into sentence form. So offer must be communicated. And the other person, the offeree, must be aware of the offer. An acceptance in ignorance is a nullity. It does not create any legal obligation. So the third bullet point on which the answer is framed is that acceptance in ignorance is not valid. Did you see? These are the bullet pointers on which the first paragraph is based. All right. Then the students also ask me, ma'am, how do we write the answer? Should we write it in paragraph point format? See, if it's a theory question, then you will write it in point format. Otherwise, even the institute follows the paragraph method. In the first paragraph, you will write down the section number, theory, name of the case law, if any. In the second paragraph, you will discuss the case of a solution, and in the third paragraph, you will write conclusion. But many a time students prefer giving heading. Do that. Anyways, all that fancy method is not going to help you. Content is what is important. So you can write down provisions, then underline that, write the provisions from the next line, then you can write down the case law, you can make a very fancy format, then after that you can write solution, and after that the conclusion. You can give headings also, but institute has never prescribed that method. Even they don't follow it in the suggested answers. So I also don't follow that method. I follow whatever the institute has recommended, that is paragraph form. Okay, now in the first paragraph we have identified three provisions on which they have framed the entire answer. First is offer must be communicated. It must be properly communicated. Then the offeree must be aware. Anything accepted in ignorance is not valid acceptance. All these points are interconnected. You have to communicate. You must be aware. If he is not aware, he cannot accept it. If he does, that is not acceptance. Then yes, because this question is directly it is a conversion of the case law. We will explain the case, but in brief. Examiner does not want you to write down the entire case law. If you feel no, I can write it, try it, but time management, that is also important. This is not the only question that you need to answer. So in the given question, now we are providing some solution. Y gets the brother back in ignorance. It is based on the above provisions and the above case law. This is the conclusion, that Y cannot claim the reward. Okay, students, if you are looking out for the compiler, I'm leaving a link in the description box. It has all question and answers as expected by the CA Institute. The next question which I have chosen is the 11th question from my compiler. Yes, it is it is an exam question, November 2018 exam question. Now there is a reason why I have chosen this question, because students get confused in invitation to offer and general offer. So students, this question is based on invitation to offer. I have done a separate video on what is offer, what is invitation to offer, how are they different. I'm leaving a link over here. You can just click on the I button and watch that video also. Let's read the question. I have given you a small hint. You know what to expect now. A shopkeeper displayed a pair of dress in the showroom with a price tag of 2000 attached to it. Miss Lovely looked at the tag and rushed to the cash counter. She asked the shopkeeper to receive the payment and pack the dress. The shopkeeper refused to hand over the dress to Miss Lovely on consideration of the price stated in the price tag attached to it. Miss Lovely seeks your advice whether she can sue the shopkeeper for the above cause and the Contract Act. There are a lot of grammatical errors, but it's an exam question. I have kept it as it is, okay? But there are many errors when you read it correctly. Now, window display. Is it offer or is it invitation to offer? Window display, it is on display, it's inviting the customers to give the offer. We customers give the offer which can be either accepted or rejected by the cashier. So please remember students, window display. Prospectus. You know, the institute has issued a prospectus inviting the students to come and enroll for the course. It is an invitation to offer. Any quotation, catalog, these are all invitation to offer. How will I come to know whether this is offer or invitation? See, an offer can be accepted as soon as it is made or rejected also. So do you want to buy this pencil for 3000 rupees? You can either accept or reject this offer immediately. But if I say that I want 3 pieces of this pencil, can you tell me the price at which you are ready to supply? If I'm inviting the offer from the other person, then it is invitation to offer. So the link will help you to recall the concept. Now, over here, window display is invitation to offer. Let me write it properly for you. The display is invitation to offer. Then who has given the offer? Yes, over here, Miss Lovely has given the offer. So in this case, Miss Lovely has given the offer. She has given the offer to the cashier. He can either accept or reject it. She cannot compel him to sell. So your answer will be based on the concept of invitation to offer. Okay. So I think you have understood the concept. Now, what to write and how much to write. Okay, what to write. Since this question is based on invitation to offer, you will write something about invitation to offer. Students, never jump to the conclusion. Don't just go to the solution. First, explain the concept on which the question is based. So you will write something about invitation to offer. Then you will try to prove that display is invitation to offer. After that, you can write down the name of a case law, Harvey versus Facey. Yes, Harvey versus Facey. There is also one more case law, Pharmaceutical Society of Great Britain versus Booth's Cash Chemist Southern Limited. You can quote that case law also. Okay, so Harvey versus Facey plus Pharmaceutical Society of Great Britain versus Booth's Cash Chemist Southern Limited. That is also a case law which is very relevant to this. Okay, so the first point that I have mentioned over here is what is invitation to offer? How is it different from offer? You have to explain it in brief. Then you will mention the name of case law. See, in the first paragraph, okay, in the first paragraph, you will only write down the theory, section number, case law, nothing about the question. First, prepare a background and then go to the conclusion. Okay, so in case of Harvey versus Facey, there was an explanation which differentiated offer from invitation. We'll come to that. Then after that, after you explain the theory, after you explain the case law, Then you will write down the conclusion in the second paragraph. Okay, so first paragraph only theory, case, section number, whatever is required to form a base. Second paragraph discuss the case and offer some solution, and the last paragraph you will write conclusion. Always have a rough framework in mind, then start writing. Let's read the answer. Person making invitation to offer is not offer. In fact, it is inviting offer from the other person. So the person is making an invitation to offer. The object is our invitation is to show that he is willing to deal with the person. We are inviting negotiations. Then Harvey versus Facey, it explains the difference between offer and invitation to offer. Quoting of the price is not an offer. Window display with the price tag, that is not offer. Any person acting on such quotation is not accepting, but he is making an offer. So Miss Lovely is making an offer which will be either accepted or rejected by the cashier. Then in the above case, the dress was on display. Now, after we have created the groundwork, come and discuss the question. In the above case, a dress was displayed with a price tag of 2000 rupees. Miss Lovely, intending to buy it, makes payment to the shopkeeper. So we are explaining that as the price tag is just an invitation to offer, Miss Lovely has given the offer. The shopkeeper is not bound to accept it. So Miss Lovely cannot sue the shopkeeper. She cannot compel him to sell the dress. So lastly, we have written the conclusion. This is the answer as given by the CA Institute. The last question. So this can be asked for either 4 to 5 marks. Length is sufficient. Then I have chosen another small question for 2 marks, because many a times a small question is asked and we are wondering what should the answer be. Okay, so this is a 2-mark question which I have chosen. Okay, this part I have only chosen the first question. This will be asked for 2 marks. Okay, a coolie in a uniform picks up the luggage of A to be carried out of the railway station without being asked by A. A allows him to do so. You have to decide whether there is a contract in this case. If yes, what is the type of contract? Now, coolie is picking up the luggage and you're allowing him to do so. Are words used? No. He is, by his action, telling you that I am picking up your luggage, I expect to be paid, and you allow him to do so. You're accepting his offer. Words are not used. It is understood from the conduct. This is an implied contract. If you have identified this, very good, students. Don't just write this is an implied contract. Also try to identify it for them implied offer and implied acceptance. So the coolie picks up the luggage, that is implied offer. You allow him to do so, that is implied acceptance. Now, how much to write for a 2-mark question? So in the given case, it's an implied contract. Now, what is an implied contract? As per section 9 of the Indian Contract Act, it says that implied contracts are those in which words are not used. The promise is said to be made only by action, facts of the case and circumstances. Now, in the present case, the coolie, by picking up the luggage, has given an implied offer, which A, by allowing him to do so, has impliedly accepted it. This is an implied contract. If A is using the services, he will have to pay for it. Did you notice? Not much is written over here. They have just concentrated on explaining implied contract, implied offer, and implied acceptance. So students, if it is asked as a 2-mark question, you're not expected to write a lot, but the terms, the words which you are using must be explained clearly. So these were the important questions which I identified from the first unit of the Contract Act. I will keep putting more booster videos so that you have a lot of practice for case studies. If you have liked this video, do like, share and subscribe to your YouTube channel Theory Masters Learning. The questions can be found in my compiler bomb. Link is in the description box. Do visit my website theorymasterslearning.com and also follow us on Facebook, Instagram and Telegram.